Hello, beautiful, and welcome to Finding Fertility. I'm your host, Monica Cox from FindingFertility.co, and I created this podcast to help get you to start thinking outside of the box and realize that your infertility might have nothing to do with your lady bits. Rooted in functional medicine and personal experience, Finding Fertility is all about looking at the whole body and finding the root cause of your infertility. Finding Fertility does not diagnose, prescribe, or treat any issues of infertility, but what we do is take a holistic approach and improve your diet and your lifestyle to get you steps closer to creating your dream family. Just by being here with me, listening to this podcast, you're already going down the right path to making your dreams come true. Let's do this together. Happy Friday, all. Welcome back to another episode of Finding Fertility. I'm your host, Monica Cox, and I am so honored and I feel privileged that you're here listening to me rant and rave. So welcome. Today we have another little segment from the community where I go in and I just spread some knowledge and wealth. You guys know that I love sharing it with my wider community. And today is all about digging into gut health and the importance of gut health for your fertility. Whether or not you have gut health issues, this is a must listen to. So without further ado, let's get to today's episode. Bittersweet to have you guys here. Super honored that you come into this group coaching, and thank you all for using the community. I know it's hard to show up. I know this group coaching session is a funny time. I was away for the first 2 weeks of February, and I wanted to make sure we get the 2 sessions in, so it had to land on a Friday evening for the rest of the world, because here in Hawaii it's still the afternoon. But I got some great questions inside the community that I'm going to answer here on this group coaching. So let's dive into it. Okay, so we are all big believers in natural health. I'm super excited. I swear, I don't know. Yes, 100% of the people I support within this community and within my one-to-one are people already doing the major work, right? Which is super cool. And just know that all that work is going to get you to your ultimate goal, and is going to just be easier for you to layer upon the necessary steps. Okay, but sometimes we have to use antibiotics, and one of our community members had to take 5 rounds of antibiotics in the past 12 months for specific issues. And girl, I feel you. That is a lot of antibiotics. Okay, so your question is, do you think that my gut health could have an impact on my fertility? Absolutely, 100% yes. I would even go out on a limb and say that for 80% of people, no, 100% of people first diving into this journey, they have to heal their gut to a certain degree. And to be honest, even when I run gut health tests for people who are quote unquote on a really good diet and doing all the right things, we still find improvement within the gut microbiome and still find improvement with some of the gut functions. So gut health is super, super key. Now, depending on where you were with your gut health before you took these antibiotics, and depending on what you were doing during that antibiotic, so if you had the awareness to really increase your, probiotics and prebiotics, either through supplementation or the right foods, to really kind of combat the antibiotics. It really depends on those factors too, of how much your gut health got destroyed. So ask yourself that first, where do I think that my gut health was? Was I okay, kind of middle of the line, quote unquote, normal? Or do you feel like your gut health was maybe a little bit low? Especially if 5 times recurring UTI. That's like a big red flag. Like, why is that happening? So your main focus to heal the gut is, one, know your food intolerances so you can then add in the wide variety. So this is the beginning of the course. Whether you're on a membership, which is $99 a month, and the course opens weekly, or if you've paid in fully and then you get all 10 weeks just open fully, and then you get the course for a certain amount of time and access to the group coaching. Everyone starts with really targeting their diet. And I know a lot of people might be like, well, I'm already on a clean, healthy diet. I really still encourage you to take time to be really secure in the like knowledge that you are on the right diet for you. So I got this like comment on YouTube the other day of like, oh, your information's so great, but why don't you just tell us exactly what to eat? And I was like, I fucking wish, I wish that was something that I can do. And I could just say, eat these exact things and they're going to boost your fertility. But the truth of the matter, which was my story, and every time I run the MRT Leap 176 now, they've added 6 more elements to the 170. Healthy foods come up, like the foods that even I recommend that are like quote unquote healthy and really good for gut microbiome, aversions to the probiotic foods like sauerkraut and bone broth, histamine intolerances. I've seen chicken pop up. I've seen carrots pop up, asparagus, blueberries, salmon. Obviously eggs is one of kind of the more common ones. But foods that are actually quote unquote healthy and aren't big red flags at the very beginning. Obviously for me, tomatoes, paprika, aubergines, peppers, potatoes, all foods that are healthy or highly inflammatory in my gut and contributing, well, for me, like literally causing my infertility issues. So there's not an easy answer. And I know that's really shitty. And I know that if I not like, I don't want to see if I was being a dick, just tell you eat this meal plan. Like obviously I have a meal plan that you can either purchase as a PDF, you get it free within this course, and the one-to-one clients get it, but it's an inspirational meal plan. It's there for guidance, and there is information of how to find your food intolerances. If you either can't afford the MRT test or you're just not in a location to get the MRT test, you have to do the kind of hard work yourself, and you have to experiment and really, really get to know your body. There's the goal, the goals list, and in the goals PDF, and this is actually obviously in the course and in the PDF and even in the printed journal on Amazon, there's like a list of like over 100 symptoms, and you have to go through that list and maybe highlight everyone that you even have just a little bit of, right? So if let's just say you get like joint pain every other week, that is a symptom, and that is a symptom of inflammation. Now, is it a symptom of like a food intolerance, gut health issue, stress issue? Those are the things you need to figure out. But once you start watching your body and seeing how it reacts to your day-to-day and being almost annoyingly hyper aware, you can figure these things out. So that's my first step to healing the gut. Like food is literally like the biggest impact on your gut, because that's what is going there, and that's what the stomach needs to handle and digest. So if you're on the perfect supplementation and you're on the perfect diet, but you're still eating these foods that are maybe highly like reactive. I mean, my story is a perfect case because so I went paleo, basically super strict, like anal strict. I had dramatically reduced my stress levels. I had like a good meditation practice. I was doing yoga. I was like perfection of health. Like you cannot fault me. And I was still eating um, a lot of tomatoes, paprika, all these nightshades. And when I found out that I had the high natural killer cells, and already kind of was digging into autoimmune stuff, I was like, all right, I'll cut those out. Literally 2 to 3 weeks later, my last symptoms that I had through digestion were gone. And I was actually on a discovery call about this the other day. And sometimes when we radically change our diet and our symptoms massively improve, right? So we're not having the bloated, we're not having the swip swap of like constipation and diarrhea, we're not having those things. We look at the remaining symptoms as like, well, I don't have all this other stuff anymore, so I should be good. But you got to be really honest with yourself. And with my hindsight, I can look back and be like, okay, I still had these little things that were not normal, but were so common to me. And I was like, well, I'm so much better. It's just like one of those things. That was still a sign that I was eating foods that I was highly intolerant to. So I really highly recommend when you jump into this program that, I mean, this is the first thing I do with my clients is I just make sure that we feel really secure with their diet and really dramatically reducing that inflammation and getting that wide variety. So that's the first tip, okay? And then the second tip is stress. If you are someone who is highly stressed, type A, always on the go, always overthinking, it's really finding those practices, and there's so much within the course that you need to just find the ones that you feel connected with the most. You don't need to do all of them, right? And really dramatically lower those that stress level. I can even see it in myself. When I am highly stressed, my stomach is the first thing. My throat actually, in my stomach, but not so much my throat anymore. But so stress is like a major one too. So those are doing the hard work, right? You have to be lowering that inflammation first. So when you are working on those things and figuring them out, the next thing you want to bring in is targeted supplementation. And within the course, there is a section, it's more towards the end. And I've put this towards the end because I really want people to really start doing the hard work, right? Because what happens is if I gave you the supplementation before and I know what almost 100% of the fertility community is like, because I was like this too, you'll jump straight into that supplementation. And the fact of the matter is it's expensive and it won't do its job as well if you're not dramatically lowering that inflammation. And I think too, when you're figuring these things out, sometimes it just takes some time to readjust, get used to the new diet, get in a groove, find the things that you need to do to lower your stress levels. Then when you start spending that money, investing that money into the supplementation, it's actually going to work a little bit better for you too. So it's targeted supplementation. I walk you through whether you should or you shouldn't take it. There are a large handful of, I would say medium handful of supplements. And I explain exactly why you would want to take them, who would want to take them, and who shouldn't take them. But this supplementation is there to literally speed up your healing journey. I never had an MRT test. I never got a gut health test, and I never took the supplementation that I recommend. One, like they just weren't invented. I couldn't get a hold of a good food sensitivity test in the United Kingdom. And the gut health test that I eventually took, I actually was already pregnant when I took it. And it was part of my FDN course, so I wanted to take it and utilize it. But yeah, the supplementation wasn't there. So it's doable to do all these things without the testing and the supplementation. But with hindsight, I can confidently say from the moment I went AIP, so being spot on with my diet, knowing exactly what I needed and what I didn't need, to knowing that I could have got pregnant naturally, took probably 8 to 12 months. It took a while. So we do these things to speed up time, basically, because I know we feel time poor already. And so it's really, that's why it's there. So it is an investment. I think it's worth the investment. And it eventually will save you time, money, and heartache investing in these things. Obviously, within the diet, there's really key ingredients like liver, organ meat, and bone broth. If you're not intolerant to histamines or or any of the meat that you're using for your bone broth, and cod liver oil that I recommend. Those things are, when I started eating liver, and that was like one of the last things I introduced into my diet, and I was doing bone broth before bone broth was like cool and you could buy it at the grocery store. Like the butchers used to like laugh at me and like, oh, do you have a dog? I was like, no, I make this like broth out of it. And they used to just give me the bones for free. Now everyone's caught on to it, it's actually cheaper for me to just buy pre-made broth than the bones here in Hawaii. It's crazy. So if you want a boost, definitely get liver and bone broth into your diet and organ meat. You can go to the grocery stores now and get mincemeat with pre-ground liver, heart, kidney in it, and you will never ever taste it. If you make like a nice spaghetti bolognese, or if you use the Nomato recipe, even if you do the ground tacos, my kids eat it, my husband eats it. He knows I put it in it, and at first he was like really pissed off because he's like, I don't like liver. And I was like, you won't even taste it. And he's like, okay, I can't taste it. So, so if you don't, I mean, it's more expensive to buy that meat pre-made, but if you're like, there's no way in hell I can go near that stuff and chop it up, there's a link of me like chopping up liver, and most people will like freak out on it. So, so those things are really important to gut healing and will massively, massively boost the time it takes, or reduce it. It will boost your health and reduce the time it takes to heal your gut. So those are the steps to really maximizing your gut health. I definitely think really no matter where you were before all this antibiotic use, you are going to want to really focus in on healing the gut lining, increasing the microbiome. If you can, I would probably invest in a gut health test. You'll find the links within the course. You order it directly from the testing company. And you have when you get the results, I also give you a huge PDF to help analyze the results. But if you're like, this is really overwhelming, there is an option to hire me to do analyzing of the results and an action plan for you. That, I mean, yeah, it's game changing, that test, but I understand that financially some people just can't afford it. And like I said, I didn't do it and I was successful. And I think with the targeted support that, I've done research and used I actually have used myself. I do use the supplements from the microbiome labs to help support my gut.
So I do use them. Yes, I do. Okay. So, okay. So let's go back. So you've had one chemical pregnancy. I'm so sorry. While I still had the parasites. Yeah. Okay. So that's my other question. Do you feel confident that you've got rid of your parasites? And what were those parasites? I'd be interested to ask or to discuss that with you. And then, if you're not confident, I would highly recommend going back and getting that test through your doctors, or if you want to do the gut microbiome test, that is something it does test for, is parasites. Yeah, so even if you're doing IVF, you're actually so bang on point with this comment. I'm just going to read it here. We're considering doing IVF in a few months if things don't happen naturally. However, I'm concerned that without a strong gut, it might not even work. And you're so right in that. Only in the fact that if you have gut health issues, it's highly likely that there's lots of inflammation and oxidative stress going on. If you have slightly leaky gut, that's going out into the bloodstream, going out to other areas of your body. Your cellular health is probably incredibly low right now. So what a lot of people don't understand when they go into a round of IVF, they think, okay, well, they're going to collect these perfect eggs and get these sperms and it's going to marry. And then all of a sudden you have like maybe one good embryo. So if you can hold off doing IVF, and it's really like getting everything into place, feeling super confident that you are doing the right steps, giving it a few, I know you guys are going to hate me for saying this, but giving that a few months to quote unquote work, heal, lower that inflammation, oxidative stress, boost that cellular health, and then add on 3 more months to that, because that is the time that your egg is going to grow. And with that time, not only are you going to produce better egg quality because your cellular health is going up, but everything around you, in your body, your uterine lining, your hormones, even your capability to handle the process of IVF is going to improve. So it's vital. And then on top of that, you continue on is your partner still has a stomach infection and SIBO. Okay, so he is working with a naturopath. There is a SIBO part of the course. Again, I think it is later in the 10 weeks, but for his sperm health, it is essential that he improves his gut health and gets rid of that SIBO, which can be a bitch to get rid of. And those other infections. So for him as well, it's going to be do the detoxing, the cleansing, the healing of these gut issues, then tack on that 3 months for the sperm to develop, because sperm and egg take a certain amount of time, around 3 months, to develop. So if you jump into an IVF rounds, I don't know what the timeline is, but let's just say from now in 3 months, you are potentially decreasing your chances of getting healthy sperm and a healthy egg to make healthy embryos. So I think you guys are both, on this amazing track to do the quote unquote healing of the gut. And it's really now just surrendering. I know that you say you're 37. I don't think that's old personally. And I will tell you from my personal experience of wanting a family at 27 and not having a family until I was 35. I think I finally had my first baby, and then 37 when I had my second baby. It didn't matter. Like your age, like literally didn't matter. And I think most mothers, when they're going through this process, mothers to be, is that society has conditioned us to overthink our age so much. And then if you don't work on that subconscious mind part of your age, you're always going to think like, I'm an older mom, I'm old and I do this. Like, I am healthier I'm now 41 than I was at 27, right? Like, I have so much more energy. My gut health is so much better. And, this time has, the time of your fertility struggles, if you use it wisely, literally almost gives you time back, right? Because you're not going to be dealing with all these health issues in your 40s when, you're going to see a lot of your friends who maybe got pregnant easily, who maybe weren't dealing with any like issues. They're just coasting through life and stuff and just kept going in their normal and Western society ways. And then all of a sudden 45, 50, 55 is going to hit them hard, where I don't even like think about that. And all my friends like, oh, 40, I feel so old and I can't sleep and doing this. I'm like, I'm living my best life. So I know when you're in the thick of it, it's hard to wrap your head around that. But that's why the like subconscious mind stuff and the way we think, the words we use, what we say to ourselves is so important. And if you can start just embracing that you're 37 and just knowing that it's your cellular health, that's what is the difference. And the only reason your age is somewhat connected to that is because we've just had more time to like fuck our shit up. And yeah, there is an element of aging, but there's so much information and there's so many like hacks that you can do to reverse that aging or dramatically slow it down. And yeah, when we are older moms, we do have to forward think like, okay, my kid's going to be in high school when I'm like late 50s. How do I want to be, and how do I want my life to continue on? I don't want to be sick. I want to be able to run around with him. I want to be able to do the things that kind of quote unquote younger moms are able to do. So that's going to be really, really important for you to focus on as well. So yeah, I hope this has answered all your questions. If you, I think I have asked you a few questions in this, so it'd be great if you can respond back to them if you can't make the next live coaching. And then I can just type away in the community and answer your questions for you. And also sometimes like if I have time and like the question's a little bit big, I just jump on here and I just answer them for you guys. Sometimes it's easier for me just to like talk it out than type it out. Okay, so until next time, I hope you guys have it's Friday, so right now I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend and stay connected in the community.
Thank you once again for tuning in to the Finding Fertility podcast. If you're loving this podcast, please leave us a rating and review and let us know how this podcast is supporting you to get steps closer to creating your dream family. I hope you have a beautiful weekend, and we will see you next Friday for another episode of the Finding Fertility podcast.